Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, I discussed characteristics of computer. Yes, in which I explained speed, versatility, accuracy, diligence. Now, today I am going to discuss memory. You all know memory is very important. Otherwise, we cannot load any information and cannot process the work. Like your computer is also having the memory. If I'm talking about the memory, then memory will be classified in two ways. One is the primary memory and other one is the secondary memory. But here I am not going to explain this one, because after this, today I will be explaining, yes, how your memory works, what are the different types of memory that I will be discussing. But only you have to know here, because I'm discussing only the characteristics. So if any information that you are giving, my dear, that must have to be loaded in the memory of the computer, that is called as RAM. You can clearly read computer's main memory is volatile. Volatile means what? Temporary. That means it will remain there if your PC is on. But once you will switch off your PC, whatever information your memory contains, that will be lost. So that is lost when we switch off the computer. Therefore, computers are provided another form of memory. Yes, as I told you earlier, we have two types of memory. So here I'm talking about the primary memory, but it will be remain in your system only for a while. But I want this information must be saved in our PC. Then I must use the secondary storage device, that is also called as secondary memory, that is also called as auxiliary, or you can say this one as the external memory. Now the next part, that is storage. You all want that whatever work I will do it, that must be recorded, that must be saved. So for that we use the storage, so that whatever informations I have to save it, that I can do it in my hard disk, so that the same information, if it has to be opened next day, I can open it happily by the help of hard disk or by the help of any external storage device. Now the next part is intelligence. You see, the best example I am giving you, my dear, you have seen the cards. Some cards are what? Without a human. That is, there is no need of driver. Here artificial intelligence means what? That means it is a technique through which your car will move on the road automatically. Understood? Even you have seen some machines also, only you have to switch on and itself your machine will operate. Whatever the task that you have given it, that task will be performed by that. The best example, robots in the restaurant, robots in the factories. Only you have to fetch the information inside it, and once it is fetched, yes, itself the robot can do the work. Now the next part, that is functional components of a computer. In this I will be discussing the motherboard, memory devices, monitor, keyboard, etc. So one by one I am going to discuss. Now the computer is the combination of hardware and software. I think everyone is knowing that what is a hardware. Hardware what? If I'm talking about the hardware, then you will say, sir, hardware are what? The physical components of a computer. When I'm talking about the software, software is what? The set of programs. Simple way. And when anyone asks what is a program, then you will say set of instruction. So actually we have the concept of hardware and software. And if both hardware and software works together, then you will say that it is my computer system. Understood? Now, you see, every task that is given to the computer must work on which cycle? IPO cycle. If I'm talking about the IPO, it means what? Input, process, and output. Whatever the task, yes, that you want to perform, that must have the input data. Process, using the instruction, yes, your data will be processed, and after that it will display the result on the screen. I'm giving one example. 2 plus 4, this is my IPO cycle. I will say how. My 2 and 4, these are the raw data, so obviously it will be input. Now what is a plus? Plus is my instruction, so that computer will add 2 plus 4 using the processor. So 2 plus 4 is what? 6. But that number which you have given to the computer, that is 2 and 4, they both will be stored in the memory, and then processor will process the work, and finally you will get the output as 6. So in computer you have the concept of IPO cycle. So one by one I am going to discuss, my dear. First of all, input. If I'm talking about the input, then in my mind many devices come, like keyboard, joystick, mouse, scanner. These all are my input devices. And when I say process, then process includes many parts. If I'm talking about the CPU, then it includes many parts. So that I will be discussing later on. Only you have to know what is input. Now the next part, that is storage. So already I said storage device is used to store the data. Now primary memory. Actually, if I am talking about the primary memory, then two parts will come, two types will come. First one is your RAM, and other one is ROM. Already I explained RAM and ROM yesterday, so I'm not going to explain RAM and ROM again. But only you have to know, when I'm talking about the RAM, it means what? Random access memory, which will store our data in the memory of the computer for the processing work or for other work, whatever the type of work, whatever the nature of work. Yes, that depends, yes, on the user. If I have to draw the picture, then I must have to take pencil, whatever other tools that, and after doing this work, if I have to save it, then I will go to file save. But before doing this, I must open my app, that is application. Either it is the MS Paint or other application. But when you are opening this one, where your application goes to the memory of the computer, and you use your pencil, whatever the work that you will do, that will be done as the processing. And once you have completed your work, then you will use file save. Here what will happen? Your file is going to be saved in your external sources, external devices, maybe your hard disk, maybe your pen drive, CDs, or whatever. Now here already it is written RAM and ROM. Listen, my dear, if I'm talking about the RAM, then RAM is of two types. One you can see on the screen, that is DRAM, that is dynamic random access memory, and other one is SRAM, static random access memory. How you can differentiate, my dear, that this is my DRAM and this is my SRAM? You see, I have already made a table. You can see, using this table you can understand what is the difference between DRAM and SRAM. My first point is what? In DRAM it is used in main memory, but SRAM we use in cache. I will discuss what is cache memory. Only you have to know. DRAM is inexpensive, not expensive, my dear, but SRAM is expensive. The third difference, uses less power. That means when you are using or when you are accessing DRAM, yes, it will consume less power, but SRAM use more power. And the last difference, it is slower than SRAM. If I'm comparing this one, then if you are comparing SRAM and DRAM, then SRAM will be what? If I'm comparing, you see the speed. Just when I'm talking about the DRAM and SRAM. Now, your SRAM is faster, my dear. Understood? In comparison of DRAM. So this is the main drawback, and other you have only the benefits of SRAM. Now ROM already I have discussed to you that ROM is what? ROM has the startup instruction, but when I'm categorizing the ROM, then there will be many types. It will be PROM, that is programmable read-only memory. Next one EPROM, erasable programmable read-only memory. Next one is EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. Listen, my dear, whatever the informations that your ROM has, it cannot be erased. Even your laptop, your desktop is having a chip that is called ROM chip, which has all the startup instructions. But when you want to erase the information, you can't do it. Understood? So using this, you can erase your information. If you are having EEPROM, yes, using the electric pulses, you can erase the informations, whatever instructions that is written, yes, in your ROM. But we general user cannot do it. Now, next part is your secondary memory. You see, if I'm talking about the secondary memory, it means what? My data is safe. Which the data I stored today, that data can be accessed any day. Either I want to open this one after a month or after a year, it will not have any problem because my data is safe. But if you want to go for the safest drive, then you must use your hard disk. Your pen drive is not the safest one, because sometimes we have the problem with the pen drive. It is not the best storage device, yes, to transfer your file from one PC to another PC. Understood? If you want, then you go for your external hard disk, because it has a bulk amount of data, my dear. Because storage capacity is more, that means more information you can store in your hard disk. But hard disk is the safest one. I tried, that's why it's my experience that I'm giving to you, that if you are taking this one file in your pen drive, you are not sure that this file can be opened in another PC or not. Now the next one is your cache memory. You see, my dear, suppose I'm giving one example. Using this example, you can understand easily. Suppose your father has given 3 words. First one, go and bring vegetables from the market. Other work, you have to decorate the house. And the last work, you have to go for shopping. What are the 3 works that are given to you? First work is go and bring the vegetables, purchase and bring the vegetables. Second one, you have to decorate your house. And the last one, that is do the shopping. Now, your father has given the time limit. Yes, I want these 3 works to be completed within an hour. Now, think yourself. Can you do these 3 works all together? Sorry, you can't do it. Now, my dear, in this case, you will appoint 3 persons. What you will do? You will just appoint 3 persons. You will say one person go and bring the vegetables. Other person you will say go and yes do the shopping. You will give the list whatever yes that is required by your father. And the third one, maybe third one you cannot appoint, you yourself can decorate the house. Now whatever the time limit that is given by your father, yes, to do the job, it must be completed before, even it will not take 1 hour, my dear. Your work will be easier. Same way, yes, what happens to the cache memory? First of all, you have to know, yes, what is the use of cache memory? If you want to enhance the performance of your CPU, then you must have the cache memory. Understood? You know the concept of buffering. Understood? What is buffering? Where your data is once stored 100% completed, then it will be, yes, then it will show your video. And once 100% gets over, again it will start buffering. Yes, you're buffering wherever you're buffering, like you have the buffering in 3G and even in 4G also. But when the 5G will come, there will be no concept of buffering. It will be so fast that you will not understand that computer, your yes, memory is having the buffering. No, my dear. Now, you can see the diagram. This diagram will tell you everything, my dear. Just now you can see what is CPU. CPU is not your cabinet. Here I'm talking about the CPU, that is the processor. Here CPU is what? My processor. Now, you see, my dear, I want that my CPU should have less load. Now, what will happen? You see, my dear, as in diagram, you can see your CPU is not directly connected to the secondary memory. Even your CPU is not connected directly to primary memory. You can see, my dear, it is in indirect way. Whenever any information that the secondary memory will give it or will take it, that will be via the primary memory, that is RAM. So any information, like suppose, yes, if you have any problem in the class, what you will do? You will communicate with the teacher or you will go to the principal. Think yourself. So there is step, my dear. Same way here. If secondary memory is having the data and this data has to be shared to the processor, then it will not go directly to CPU. It will go to primary memory, and primary memory will communicate with the cache memory and then to the processor. Now you see, my dear, now the processor is totally dependent on cache as well as primary memory. You can see some information directly CPU can take from the primary memory and some data from the cache memory, which is already stored in the memory. Because some of the informations which are stored in the cache memory, that information again has not to be given by the primary memory or the secondary memory. Directly it will just send the data to the processor. This is the main concept of cache memory. So if you have the cache memory, your work efficiency will be faster. Computer work efficiency will be faster. Just now you can see the definition, my dear. It is a very high speed memory which is used to cope up with the high speed of CPU. It is generally placed between the CPU and primary memory. You can see CPU is here and the primary. In between, you have the cache memory and it acts as a buffer. I have already given the concept of buffer. It reduces the average access time to data from the main memory and is comparatively expensive. Yeah, it is expensive, no doubt, but your data will be so fast because you have added a channel that is cache, my dear. So I hope you have understood the cache memory, my dear. Now, next part, just you can see, first of all, you have to see the block diagram of computer. You can understand by this diagram, you see, whatever the data that is to be given to the computer, that must be given through input unit. If I have to type If I have to give 2 plus 4, that is 2 and 4. How you can give this data? Yes, sir, to the, yes, sir, in a system. Yes, only by the help of input unit via the keyboard. Now your data has come, and now it will go to where? First of all, it will go to the primary storage, that is the primary memory. Understood? And if this primary memory data, yes, have to be stored in the hard disk, then directly it will send the data to the secondary storage, that is the hard disk or pen drive, whatever. But if it has to be processed like 2 plus 4, yes, calculation work. So in this case, this primary storage will send the data via CU to ALU unit, via CU, because whatever the work that is done, yes, in your motherboard, yes, that all data here and there, your data passing, that all will be controlled by a unit that is called as control unit. So via this unit, yes, this data will be transferred to ALU. ALU will process it, and then this ALU again will send this data to the primary storage via the control unit. And once the data is processed, this data will be stored in the hard disk. But I want to display it, then directly you can be in contact with output unit. I don't want to store this data, I want to see this data, then there will be no concept of secondary storage here. Directly this primary storage will send this data to the output unit. You all are knowing output unit. It can be the printer, it can be the speaker, it can be monitor. But here I'm talking about the monitor. Once you are satisfied that my information is correct, then it will go directly, yes, to the, yes, printer. So first of all, anyhow, we have to check it, my dear.